OC&C is a global strategy consulting boutique. We've got 15 offices around the world, spread through Europe, Asia and the Americas. And we help our clients, who are senior executives and investors across a range of industries, with some of their most complicated strategic challenges, ultimately shaping solutions that bring together all sorts of different strands of thinking to help them grow their businesses and compete successfully. It starts with our people and the experience that they bring. So we're obsessed with quality in the people that we bring into our business and the way in which we develop them. We focus on a certain number of industry sectors and we build really deep experience in those industries, working with a broad range of clients from biggest multinationals through to fast-growing insurgents to make sure that our teams really do understand the ecosystems in which our clients operate. And that combination of great problem solving and really deep expertise in those industry sectors is a powerful thing to bring to clients. And then we're able to do that globally by operating as one single seamless global team. So that means we can bring the best of OC&C's experience together and form the right team for each individual client. It's particularly useful when we're thinking about some of these international growth strategies.
So the current retail landscape in 2025 continues to be quite tough for many of the international retailers that we work with. So for the retailers themselves, there's a really strong imperative to be thinking about international as a really important growth lever for them. Internationalizing a business is on paper really easy, but in practice, operationalizing that, making that stick and making that profitable is really, really hard. It's quite easy to sort of switch on sales in a new market, but it's much more difficult to build a really strong and sustainable and profitable presence in that market. And many of the retailers and brands that we interact with, they really underestimate what it takes with respect to a few different things. So crucially, local market understanding, what the consumer wants, how they're shopping, how we should be pricing to be competitive in that market, whilst also maintaining profitability. How we tell our brand story in a way that's really compelling and makes it very clear to consumers what we stand for. How we build a marketing pot to support that brand storytelling, and how we make sure we have the operational readiness, so the resilience of people, processes, technology, in order to really deliver a strong international model. Setting and executing successful international expansion strategies is one of OC&C's core areas of strength within the retail sector. Expanding internationally is a potentially really exciting and opportunity-rich growth lever for retailers. But it is also rife with complexity and risk that can become very costly for your business. At OC&C, we work tirelessly to work through a lot of that complexity and best set international strategies and businesses up for success.
For media and tech businesses, more than pretty much all other sectors, really the question in 2025 is around two letters, which is AI. It's really about how they deploy new AI tools to improve their workflows, to do things better, cheaper, faster, ideally to do things that differentiate their products. In many ways, being a digital pure play business removes a lot of the barriers that a number of businesses have for scaling internationally. So they tend to be asset-light businesses. You don't need to go and build stuff, build stores, put trucks on the ground to go into a new country. So in theory, scaling is easier. But in reality, these businesses add value by creating some kind of value for consumers, whether that's being able to compare prices easily online, order takeaways quickly and seamlessly. They're creating value for consumers in some way, which brings customers to them. And then they're monetizing that with the suppliers who are on those marketplaces. So to scale internationally, you need to think about how you build both sides of those marketplaces. Where our clients are looking at expanding into international markets and they have a relatively contained list of markets that they're looking to pick between or prioritize across, I think we look to build a pretty holistic picture across three buckets, really. So firstly, the customer and demand side and what that looks like. Secondly, the supply side and the structure of the supply side. And thirdly, competition and the impact of competition on the economics of the business and acquiring customers. The rapid pace of change in technology means we're always seeing new opportunities, and I think that the breadth of experience and expertise across our TMT team at OC&C means that we're well set up to help our clients stay ahead.
So the landscape for consumer goods companies globally at the moment is, I guess, maybe a little less turbulent than it's been for the last, call it, 5 years. However, there remain challenges, including things like uncertainty around tariffs and how people think about importing and exporting across markets. And, in addition to that, sort of the competitive dynamics around the world that are really evolving across markets. I think for any consumer goods company, it is really important to understand what your consumers really want. The differences in those consumer needs, but also the difference in the way your proposition resonates to those consumers. There's a lot of things we can do to kind of help businesses understand the local consumer needs, and that's all really important as you think about, bringing a new product to market and thinking about how it resonates with a different consumer group. So it's important from a distribution standpoint to really understand the landscape of any given market. And that's everyone from retailers and the key retailers in the market through to distribution and the partnerships required to kind of get your products through to the end consumer. And so I think there's a number of things that you want to look at. But when we do these projects, we map out what that landscape looks like. How does that vary by product type? How can you think about what the right fit is to the proposition that you're offering? One of the great things about OC&C is our global coverage. At our scale is pretty phenomenal, and what that means is that we have a lot of experience of doing strategies, market entry strategies across markets, looking at companies that have multi-geography exposure, and that is really beneficial to our kind of overall expertise and ability to help our clients with those questions. But being able to assess those things, assess the opportunity, and then to be able to kind of successfully execute against that strategy are all really critically important things to us when we're working with our clients.
Now, I think we're increasingly seeing business reaching the point in their maturity where investors and others are trying to push them towards internationalization. So it's a question that we're getting asked more and more about how do we actually take this step. I think the first side is you need to make sure you've thought about your winning formula as a business, really reflecting on what has made you successful in your home market. You bring that with you. The second element is going to be around the market conditions, and that's first of all to making sure the underlying structure of the market is similar enough, and that could be something of, does the same type of regulation exist that you rely on in your home market? And then there's some more operational considerations as well, which can be either relating to, are there genuine synergies from you making such an expansion, which means that it is worthwhile? Further along those lines, there's also the kind of elements around, you do want to make sure you have a strong entry platform to make yourself successful, or at least making sure it is asset light. So there's two versions of this. Either you can try to almost expand abroad, but from your home country. So for example, if you're a consultant, or indeed if you have a software or data service, you can probably offer that to France from the UK, simply because you don't need that local presence to begin with. And that means you can have a degree of product market fit before you enter. But the second element is when you do get to that local presence, if you require it for your type of business, you need to make sure you have a big enough platform that has the reputation and that you have a solid local management team that really understand the nuances to push it forward. So I think the main reason why to work with someone like us on the internationalization is really that we are real sector experts in what we do. And that is really critical, because I think the theme throughout here has been that you really do need to make sure you've done your homework and that you understand the conditions in different markets for your specific industry. As a team, we actually do have knowledge across a very vast set of markets. We have teams across the globe. We often collaborate together, and especially on these types of projects, you'll have a very diverse team that kind of have the local knowledge that you need.
So fundamentally, we're helping clients shape the strategies that will enable them to develop their businesses and grow internationally. Each client is unique. That means the emphasis on where we help each client is slightly different. But typically our work is grounded in understanding customers and where market opportunities lie, getting a really sound understanding of competitive economics, and blending those things together with how the business operates to really understand how they can enhance the competitive advantage of that business and use that to fuel the growth. So alongside those people that we bring into the business, that focus on quality of our people, we bring a really deep set of sector expertise. So we work in a chosen number, a pretty broad range of industry sectors. So across B2B services, tech and media within TMT, consumer goods, retail and leisure sectors, all of those areas of real focus for us. And that enables our people to build really deep expertise in those particular sectors. It means our people really do come with a strong understanding of the ecosystems in which our clients are operating, which is essential as you're shaping those strategies. We recognise these aren't just plans on a page, these are transformational opportunities for our clients' businesses. And we understand that partly because we've lived and breathed it ourselves as we've built our own business out globally over the last 10 years.